Good morning. It's Wednesday morning, and I'm recording now the shir for Thursday morning. I hope you've been able to follow. If there's any questions, feel free to either email me or call me or text me. We're up to Daf Chav Ches Amud Aleph. And we've been learning about a number of Tanoim who explained why they merited longevity. They lived for a long time. The last one had to do with Rabbi Akiva asking Rabbi Haggada why he lived long. And he said one of the things was that he never would accept gifts. When somebody offended him, he never bore a grudge or never tried to pay back, and when it came to monetary things, he wasn't tight. We're up to the second of the widest lines, about 2/3 of the way down the page. Shoal Rebbe es Rabbi Shua ben Karcha. Rebbe, that's Rabbi Yehuda Nasi, asked Rabbi Shua ben Karcha, Bameh herachta yamim. How did you, Rabbi Shua ben Karcha, live long? There's a medrash that Rabbi Shua ben Karcha lived extremely long. Amar Lois, Rabbi Shua ben Karcha says to Rebbe, why are you asking me why I lived so long? Katzta b'chaye? Are you disgusted with my life? You think I've lived too long? Amar Lois, so Rebbe said, no, Rebbe, my Rebbe, Tairehi, it's something to learn. I just want to learn what to do in order to live long. Amar Lai, Rabbi Shua ben Karcha said, Miyama, in all my days, lo nestakalti, I never looked, b'dmut adam rasha. I never looked at the image of a wicked man. I never looked at a wicked person. I looked away. Dam Rabbi Yochanan once said, Asr la'adam lehistakel b'tzelem dmus adam rasha. It's prohibited for a person to look at the image of a wicked man. Shenemar, there's a pasuk in Malachim Bet, Perik Gimel. The story was that Yehoram, who was an evil king, and Yehoshaphat, who was a good king, together went to war, but they got into trouble, and they had no water for their soldiers, so they went to see Elisha. Particularly Yehoram went to see Elisha. And Elisha says to Yehoram, you should know that Lulei Pnei Yehoshaphat Melech Yehuda Ani Nosei, if not for my self-greeting or appearing in front of Yehoshaphat Melech Yehuda, who's a good king, im abit elecha v'im ereka, would I look at you, would I see you? If it was you alone, I wouldn't look at you, because one shouldn't look at an evil man. Rabbi Elazar Amar Rabbi Elazar says the source that one shouldn't look at an evil person is because einav keyos, because your eyes get dimmer, your eyes get weaker if you look at a wicked man. Shenemar, the pasuk says, "Vahi ki zaken Yitzchak." When Yitzchak got older, but hichena einav meira'is, and his eyes got dimmer from seeing. The word from seeing is superfluous. His eyes got dimmer means he couldn't see. So why does it say meira'is, from seeing? Because mishum de istakel be'esav v'rasha, because he looked at Esav v'rasha. It was his son, and therefore, in the end, his eyes became diminished. His eyesight became diminished. The Gemara asks, "V'hagar malay," is that what caused Yitzchak's eyes to fail because he looked at Esav? V'hamar Rabbi Yitzchak says, "Loilam alti killas hedyet kala beinecha." Even when a simple person curses someone, he should never take it lightly. Sharei Avimelech is considered in our book a simple person. He was just the king of Plishtim. Kilel as Sarah, he cursed Sarah, v'niskayim bezara, and his curse came true in Sarah's children. Shenemar, that it says, when Avimelech released Sarah and he found out that she was Avram's wife, he says to her, he gave a lot of money to Avram, and he says, Hine hulach ksus einayim. The simple translation is, this will cover up for the fact that I looked at you. Avimelech looked at her, he wanted to take her, but I gave your husband a lot of money, and that should cover up, ksut, it should cover up enaim that I looked at you. But the Gemara has a different drasha. Al tikre, don't read it ksut enayim, don't read it ksut, it should cover up el ksiat enayim. He cursed her that one day her eyes should be covered, she shouldn't see well, and it came true in her son Yitzchak. So you see from here that Yitzchak's loss of vision was not because he looked at Esav, but rather because Avimelech had cursed his mother. So the Gemara says, Ha Garmalei, both caused it. It was the curse of Avimelech, and ultimately it was looking at Esav that brought it about. Rava says, Mihacha, the source not to look at a wicked man comes from here. Seis Pnei Rasha, to take the face of a Rasha, to take in the face of a Rasha, Lo Tov, is not good. Just want to point out this idea that even the curse of a simple man should not be mild or light in your eyes, is because curses and blessings really are as powerful as the intent of the person who intends it. It doesn't have to do with their merit. It has to do with their intent, how serious they are. And a simple person, even if he blesses someone, but he means it with his whole heart, it has a lot of power. It creates a channel from God, from heaven to the man. And if a person, even a simple person, curses someone, but he really means it, he's bitter, it can come true. And therefore, you should never look at a blessing or a curse based on the quality of the person who says it, but rather on his sincerity. B'shas B'tirasai, when Rebbe was leaving Rabbi Shua ben Karcha, Amar Lo, Rebbe says to Rabbi Shua ben Karcha, Rebbe, my teacher, Barcheni, give me a blessing. Amar Lo, so Rabbi Shua ben Karcha said, Yiratzain, it should be God's will, Shetagia lechatzi yamai, you should live at least as long as half my life, because as we said before, Rabbi Shua ben Karcha lived very long. So Rebbe said, Alukulu Loi, why don't you give me a blessing that I should live as long as you? Amar Loi, so Rabbi Shua ben Karcha said something interesting. He said, Haboyim acharecha behema yiru. You, Rebbe, you, Rabbi Yehuda Anasi, were a descendant of David HaMelech, and you are a Nasi. So if you live very long, your children will never have a chance to be Nasiim. My life was extraordinarily long, beyond the norm. I wish you long life, but I wish you a normal long life. And if you live a normal long life, when you pass away, your children will be able to take your position, and they too will have a chance to be Nasiim. But I don't know that I need to wish you as long life as mine. Mine was very much of an extraordinarily long life. And if you live as long as me, your children will never get a chance. Avua Bar-Ihi Uminyamin Bar-Ihi, these are two Rabbonim. Avua Bar-Ihi, looks like it's his brother, Minyamin Bar-Ihi. Chadam one says, Taisi Li, I deserve credit. Delo Istakli Bikuti, that I never looked at a kuti, somebody who worships Avodah Zarah, because they're a wicked man. V'chadam one says, Taisi Li, give me credit. Delo Avdi Shutafut Bahadi Kuti, that I never made partnership with an idol worshipper. Now actually the Gemara in Avodah Zarah says that you shouldn't make partnership with an idol worshipper, because if you ever have a dispute with him and he needs to swear, he's going to swear by his Avodah Zarah. So you have caused indirectly that somebody should swear by Avodah Zarah. So Taisvus here points out that even if you make a deal with the partner, that in case we have a dispute, you don't have to swear. But nevertheless, so he's never going to swear by Avodah Zarah. So theoretically there should be no problem. But nevertheless, he just never made a business partnership with an idol worshipper. These people always did a little more than you have to, and that's why they got extra credit. Sholu Talmidav es Rabbi Zera, the Talmid master of Zera, b'meherachta yamin, what caused you to live long? Amar Lem, he said, Miyamai, in all my days, lo hikpadati b'toch beiti, I never lost my temper. He adds here, I never lost my temper, even at home. At home sometimes is where somebody might let loose. But not only did I never lose my temper outside of the home, I never lost my temper in the house either. I never walked ahead of somebody who was greater than me. I always held back. If somebody greater than me was walking, I stayed behind him. I never thought Torah in alleyways where there might be waste or soil. I was careful not to think of Divrei Torah in those places. I never walked the 4 amos without learning Torah or without wearing tefillin. In those days they wore tefillin all day. I never slept in a Beit Midrash, neither to really go to sleep or even to take a nap. And I never rejoiced when my friend had a misfortune. I explained this the other day. Of course, you don't laugh at somebody else's misfortune, but even if you're competing and one person wins and one person loses, you don't demonstrate your joy at defeating the other guy. I never called my friend by a nickname, even if it was not a derogatory nickname. Amrilo, and some say, I'm sorry. I never called somebody by a derogatory nickname, even though everybody calls him by that name. Maybe he doesn't even mind, but I wouldn't call him by a derogatory nickname. Amrilo, and some say, even in a nickname that his family calls him by, it was just like an endearing nickname. I always called somebody by his real name. The Mishnah. Another thing Rabbi Yehuda said, why is it considered another thing? Because Rabbi Yehuda had said, another thing Rabbi Yehuda had said about a Beit HaKnesset, that a Beit HaKnesset shecharav, if a Beit HaKnesset has gone to ruin, it's no longer being used. It's still kadosh, even though it's not being used. You're not allowed to have a eulogy in it. You don't make a eulogy for somebody that passed away. And you're not allowed to twist ropes in it. Actually, it means that this Beit Knesset, even though it's not being used, you're not allowed to do any non-Kodesh activities in it. But the twisting of ropes, it seems, took a lot of place. Maybe two people stood far from each other and twisted it. So it's a good thing to do indoors in a Beit Knesset if it's not being used as a Beit Knesset, but you're not allowed to. You're not allowed to set traps in it for beasts or fowl. If this Beit Knesset is in a field, you can't set traps in it. You're not allowed to spread produce on the roof of the Beit Knesset to leave it there to dry. And you're not allowed to use the Beit Knesset as a shortcut. Shenemar, as the pasuk says, "V'hashimoti et migdasheichem," and I will desolate your holy places. Meaning, even though they're desolate, they're still holy places. Kedushatan af keshein shomimin. They're holy even when they're desolate and empty. Aluba asavim. If in this ruined Beit Knesset grass was growing, lo yitlosh. Don't cut the grass. Mipnei agmat nefesh. Let people see grass growing wild in this abandoned Beit Knesset. And mipnei agmat nefesh. Let them feel bad. And if they feel bad, they may choose to donate money and rebuild the Beit Knesset. Taner Rabbanan, the rabbis taught in a Braita, Bate Knesiyot in a Beit Knesset, Ein Noag Behen Kalud Rosh. You're not allowed to act disrespectfully there, Kalud Rosh, lightheaded. Ein Ochlim Behen, you're not allowed to eat in a Beit Knesset. Vein Shotin Behen, you're not allowed to drink in a Beit Knesset. Vein Neotin Behen, you're not allowed to Neotin could be putting on cosmetics, but it means you're not allowed to use it as a place where you straighten out your clothing or do anything to enhance yourself. Bein Metailin Bahem, and you're not allowed to just walk around to go for a walk in a Beit Knesset, or you're not allowed to be casual in it. Bein Nichnosim Bahem, you're not allowed to enter a Beit Knesset B'chama if you're hot. Just because it's hot, and let's say the Beit Knesset is air conditioned, so you're not allowed to just go in to get out of the heat. And if it's raining, you're not allowed to go into a Beit Knesset just to get out of the rain. You don't make a eulogy in a Beit Knesset if it's a private eulogy where not too many people are there. The person that passed away is not a Talmud Chacham, so only a few family members will be there. You can't do that in a Beit Knesset. We'll see later when you can do a hesped in a Beit Knesset. Avul Korin Bahem, but you're allowed to read Tanakh. Vishonim behem, you're allowed to learn Mishnayot and Gemara, even though it's a Beit Knesset, which is made for prayer, but you're allowed to learn there as well. Umaspidin ben hesped shel rabim. If a scholar died and it's going to be a big funeral and you need a lot of place and it's for kavod atayra, that the scholar is being eulogized, so you're allowed to make that eulogy in the Beit Knesset. And Amar Rabbi Yehuda said, Eimatai, when do these laws apply? The Yeshuvan, when the Beit Knesset is in use, it works. Abu B'chorbanan, when the Beit Knesset is destroyed, Menichan Ayatan, you leave it. V'olim ben asavim, you let grass grow. Below yitlosh, you don't cut the grass. Mipnei agmat nefesh, so people's souls will sorrow, and if they feel bad about the grass, they'll make a campaign to rebuild the Beit Knesset. The Gemara asked, Asavin mandikar shmayu, who was talking about grass here? The Tanakhama never talked about grass, so why is Rabbi Yehuda talking about grass? The Gemara explains, Chasuri michasra, the Braita was missing a few words, V'hochiktani, and it should say as follows. In these Batei Knesset, when we said all the things you're not allowed to do there, the Braita continues, Umachabdin otan, you need to sweep the floor of a Beit Knesset, Umarbitzin otan, you water down the dust of a Beit Knesset, so it shouldn't get dusty, and also Kedei Shelo Yalu ben Asavim, we want to make sure the grass doesn't grow in a Beit Knesset. To this, Amar Rabbi Yehuda said, Eimatai, when do we sweep and water down the dust so no grass should grow? The Yeshuvan, when the Beit Knesset is being used. Aval b'chorbanan, but when the Beit Knesset is ruined, Menichan you let the grass grow, la'alot, to Menichan la'alot, you let the grass grow up, and Alu b'masavim, and if the grass does grow, lo yitlosh, don't cut the grass, mipnei agmat nefesh, so people should feel bad that grass is growing in a place that was once a Beit Knesset, and they would pay and perhaps rebuild the Beit Knesset. Amar Ravasi says, Bata Knesset shebebavel al Tanai hein asuyin. The Bate Knesset in Bavel were made conditionally, and the condition was that you should be able to eat or drink there. Now there are a lot of disputes regarding this halacha. Rashi holds that you can make a condition, and if you make a condition, then you're allowed to eat and drink in a Beit Knesset, even when the Beit Knesset is in use. The Ramban also agrees with Rashi that the condition is effective to use the Beit Knesset to eat and drink, even when the Beit Knesset is in use. Tosfot disagrees, and he says you can only make a condition that if the Beit Knesset is ruined and is no longer in use, then you'll be able to do non-Kodesh things in it. But the condition only works when the Beit Knesset is in ruin, not when it's still in use. There's another issue. The Poskim, Magen Avram, says that this condition only works, even according to Rashi, that the condition works, that even when the Beit Knesset is in use, you can make a condition, but you have to actually say it. The people building the Beit Knesset must speak and say that we build this Beit Knesset conditionally, one will be able to eat and drink there. We must add, and this you'll see some of our issues that we may have in school, Avafal became, but nevertheless, ein noigem em kalat rosh, but you're not allowed to be lightheaded in a Beit Knesset. In my knee, what's lightheaded? That means cheshbonot. And what's cheshbonot? Calculations. It means, let's say, to have a public meeting to discuss the budget and allocations and stuff like that. Maybe like to take a snack or to take a drink, particularly when somebody's learning, so that we can make a condition and it should be allowed. But even with a condition, you can't do things of lack of respect. So again, we have a lot of issues here. Number one, that according to Tosfot, a condition does not work to do anything in a Beit Knesset while the Beit Knesset is a Beit Knesset in use. According to Rashi and the Ramban, a condition does help to do things that are non-Kodesh in a Beit Knesset even when it is in use, but the condition has to be made verbally. It's not just an assumption. And even when you make a condition, it's a limit of what you can do in the Beit Knesset. The condition does not allow kalut rosh, things of lack of respect, and that is cheshbonot. That's why, if you remember, I have a sign on the Sephardi Beit Knesset to be very careful not to do anything here which is disrespectful. I'm assuming that when it was dedicated to be used as a Beit Knesset. When the school enlarged the room and dedicated it to be a Beit Knesset, it was made conditionally. Or perhaps one might be lenient to say that it was understood that it was made conditionally, even if it wasn't stipulated, but that's not so clear. But even if the condition was made clearly, you can't do things of disrespect in a Beit Knesset. That's the halacha. Rav Asi says, Beit Knesset shemachashvim b'cheshbonot. If it's a Beit Knesset where people do their calculations or do things of disrespect in it, melinin bo et hamet, you have to keep a dead body in it overnight. Where it says, I don't understand. Melinin salkadatach, would it enter your mind that you must take a corpse and put it in the Beit Knesset overnight? Lo sagi, is it not sufficient to lavachi if you don't do that? Ela rather, lasof she'elina bo made mitzvah. If you disrespect the Beit Knesset, and God forbid, there will be people in the city that will die, and there will be a lack of place to keep them before the burial, and God forbid that they'll be kept in that Beit Knesset that you disrespected. And you're not allowed to use the Beit Knesset as a place to, not sure for a good translation, ne'otin, you can't beautify yourself. Well, what does beautify yourself mean? I mean, you don't go in there in order maybe to fix your shirt and pants or to make your tie. Rava says, Chachamim v'talmideyim mutarim. Scholars and their students are allowed. Rabbi Shubban Levi says, my Bei Rabbanan. Why is a Beit Midrash called at the Rabbanan's house? Beitu de Rabbanan. It's the Rabbanan's house. So this means that if it's a place where the Rabbanan are there all day, so since they're absolutely there all day, so one can be lenient and do certain extra things there that normally you do in your house because, look, they live here. But if you remember in class, that's why I don't allow eating in class. Besides, for the school doesn't like eating in the classroom, but our class is a Beit Knesset and a Beit Midrash. So I always ask people to step outside and eat, and I'll learn with them even there at the door, but not eat inside. But let's say a water bottle or even a drink or a cup of coffee that you need it for the purpose of learning. While you're learning, your throat shouldn't get dry, so that we can be lenient. But our classroom is certainly not a Bei Rabbanan. Our classroom is certainly not the place where you live in all day so that you can do eating and drinking in it. You're not allowed to enter a Beit Knesset to get out of the sun or to get out of the rain. These two Amoraim, Ravina, Rav Ada bar Matna, they were standing and asking a question from Rava. Ata zilcha demitra, a downpour of rain came. Aili, they entered the Beit Knesset, but Amri, they explained. Haida Ailina, this that we entered the Beit Knesset, lav mishum mitra, it's not because we wanted to get out of the rain. Ella rather, mishum deshmaita, because learning bayat silusa needs a protected environment. Kiyoma de istana, like a clear day that a pleasant wind blows from the north. So you need a pleasant environment to learn. It needs to be clean, and it needs to be a pleasant environment. If you notice, that's why sometimes I go around picking up papers or stuff off the desks, because in order to learn, you need a clean and pleasant environment. Omer Ravacha b'rei Rav Ravashi, Ravacha the son of Rav said to Ravashi, what if Mr. A needs to call Mr. B out from the Beit Knesset? I don't know, maybe he has a telephone call, somebody's waiting for him outside. What do you do? Omar Lei, so Rav Ashi answered, Ravacha b'rei Rava, Itzurva mirabananhu, if Mr. A is a scholar, Lei mehilchata, when he enters, let him at least say a halacha. So he entered to say halacha, so then he can now use his entry to call somebody out. But it's not considered you're using the Beit Knesset for just non-Kodesh purposes. V'itanahu, and if he doesn't know halachas, he only knows mishnayos, leima matanita, then he should say a mishnah or a braita. V'ikarahu, and if he only knows how to read Tanakh, leima psuka, at least he should say a pasuk. V'ilo, and if he doesn't know how to read, Leimalei linuka, maybe there's a child in a Beit Knesset. So say to the Yanuka, to the child, Emali psukech, tell me the pasuk that you're learning. Inami, or perhaps, Nishi Porta Venekum, maybe you should just sit down a bit, or delay a bit, stay a bit, and then go out. Because even sitting in a Beit Knesset is also a mitzvah. Ashrei Yoshvei Veitecha. Fortunate are those who sit in the Beit Knesset. Umaspidin behem hesped shel rabbin. The Mishnah says you're allowed to hold a eulogy of a scholar. Heichi dami hesped de rabbin. What's called a eulogy of the public? Mechvir of Chizda showed Kagon hesped. If there would be a eulogy, the koiber of Sheshet. The Rav Sheshet would be present at the eulogy. If Rav Sheshet, the great scholar, would be present at the eulogy, a lot of other people would come there as well. So then, in the honor of Rav Sheshet, and probably if Rav Sheshet is there, they're going to eulogize an important person, then you can do it in the Beit Knesset. Mechvi Rav Sheshet, Kagon Hespeda, the Koiber of Chizda. Rav Sheshet showed, for instance, the eulogy where Rav Chizda would be present. Rav Chizda was honoring Rav Sheshet, and Rav Sheshet was honoring Rav Chizda. Each one said if the other was at a eulogy, a lot of people would come in his honor, and therefore you can do it in a Beit Knesset. Rafram Aspedei Lekalote B'Beit Knishta. Rafram eulogized his daughter-in-law, in a Beit Knesset. It was a sad story. His daughter-in-law passed away. Amar Rafram said, Mishum Yikora Didi, either because of my honor, a lot of people are going to come, or Im Mishum Yikora Didei Demita, or because of the honor of the Nifteret, the one who passed away, Atu Kula Alma, everybody will come. So it's a very public hesped, and therefore it can be done in a Beit Knesset. Rish Lakish Savdei Lahutzurva Mirabanan. I'm sorry. Reb Zeir Savdei Lahu. I'm going to go back. I think I skipped a word. Rafram Aspeda Lekalote B'Beit Knishta. Rafram eulogized his daughter-in-law in Beit Knesset. Amar and said, Mishum Yikara Didi, because of my honor, Udamita, and the woman that passed away, my daughter-in-law, Otu Kuli Alma, everyone will come. Reb Zeir Savdei Lahumir Rabbanim B'Beit Knishta. Reb Zeir eulogized a rabbi in the Beit Knesset. Amar, he said, Imishim Yikara Didi, either because of my honor, Imishim Yikara Didei Demita, or because of this rabbi who passed away, Atu Kula Alma, everyone will come. So I'm going to go through the Gemara again, but just with English. If you follow carefully, you can pick up vocabulary. I'll do the best I can to translate word for word. Again, from Chavchet Amid Aleph, the second line after they get widest, that's how I have it, Shal Rebbe at Rabbi Shua ben Karcha. Rebbe asked Rabbi Shua ben Karcha, Bama, how, Herachta Yamim, did you live long? So he, Rabbi Shua ben Karcha, said to Rebbe, are you disgusted with my life? You think I lived long enough? He said to him, Rebbe, it is Torah, and I need to learn it. He said to him, in all my days, I never looked at the image of a wicked man, because Rabbi Yochanan said it is prohibited for a man to look at the image of a wicked man. As it says, this was Elisha speaking to Yehoram, who was a wicked man, and Elisha says to him, if not, Lulay, if not for the face of Yehoshaphat Melech Yehuda, I am Ani no say, I am greeting or meeting the face of Yehoshaphat Melech Yehuda, who is a righteous man. Would I abit elecha? Would I look at you? Would I gaze at you? V'mareka, would I look at you? So you see that Elisha would not have looked at Yehoram, except that he was together with Yehoshaphat. Rabbi Elazar says that a person looks at a rasha, his eyes become dim. As it says, Vahi kizak in Yitzchak, v'tichena einav merot. When Yitzchak got old, his eyes became dim from seeing. What does from seeing mean? Because he looked at Esav Rasha. The Gemara asks, V'ha garmalei, did this cause it? Rabbi Yitzchak said, toujours, a curse of a simple person should not be kala, should not be light in your eyes, because Avimelech, the king of Plishtim, cursed Sarah, and it came true, Bizarra, in her children. As it says, Avimelech says to Sarah, Hine hulach ksut einayim. The money I give your husband will cover up that I looked at you. But the Gemara says, don't read it ksut, cover up that I looked at you, but rather ksiat einayim, that your eyes will be dimmed. And it came true not in her, but in her son Yitzchak. His curse came true. So the Gemara says, this and this caused it, meaning it was caused by Avimelech's curse, and it was caused because Yitzchak looked at Esav. Rava says the proof is from here, a pasuk in Mishlei, Perik Yudchet, Se'et pnei rasha lo tov. It is not good to take in the face of a wicked man. When he left, when Rebbe left Rabbi Yeshua ben Karcha, he said to him, Rebbe, give me a blessing. So he, Rabbi Yeshua ben Karcha, said to him, it should be the will of God that you should reach half my years. So Rebbe said, Ula kulu lo, can't I reach all your years? But the answer is, he said to him, Rabbi Yeshua ben Karcha lived for an extraordinary long amount of time. So he said, Haboy machrecha, those who come after you, behema yiru, will they graze animals? Will they never get a chance to be Nesiim? If you live half my years, you will have lived very long, and when you pass away, your children can take your position. Avua Bar-I and Minyamin Bar-I made statements. One said, I deserve credit that I never looked at a kuti, an idol worshipper. And the other said, I deserve credit that I never made partnership with an idol worshipper. And as Tosfot explains, even if the idol worshipper agreed that he would never swear by his avodah zarah. The Talmud master of Zera, how did you merit herachta yamim, to live long? He said, in all my days, I never lost my temper even in my house. I never walked ahead of somebody who was greater than me. I never thought of divrei Torah b'mavot hamatunafot, in places that weren't clean. I never walked 4 amot without learning Torah or without wearing tefillin. I never slept in a Beit Midrash, neither a real sleep nor a nap. I never rejoiced when my friend had a misfortune, takolat chaveri. I never called my friend by a funny nickname, and some say even by his natural nickname, which he was called by his family. Another thing Rabbi Yehuda said, the new Mishnah, a Beit HaKnesset, even when it's in ruins, you're not allowed to hold eulogies in it, you're not allowed to twist ropes in it, you're not allowed to set traps in it, and you're not allowed to spread on its roof produce to dry, and you can't make it a kapandria, a shortcut. As it says, V'hashimoti et mikdasheichem. It's kadosh even when it's in desolation. If grass grows in this Beit HaKnesset, which is ruined, don't cut the grass. People's soul should sorrow, and if they feel bad, they may choose to rebuild it. The rabbis taught in the Braita, Bate Knesiot, you can't be lightheaded, disrespectful in it. You can't eat in it, you can't drink in it, you can't adorn yourself or fix yourself up in it, you can't walk around in it just for a walk or chill in it. You can't go into it to get out of this, you can't enter in the sun to get out of the sun. You can't enter when it's raining to get out of the rain. You cannot hold a private eulogy in it, but you can read Tanakh in it, you can learn Mishnayot in it, you can make a eulogy if it's a public eulogy. And Rabbi Yehuda says, when are these rules in application? Only when the Beit Knesset is settled and used. But if it's in ruin, you leave it, you let the grass grow, lo yitlosh, don't cut the grass, so people should feel bad. Agmat nefesh. The Gemara says, what was the Tanakama talking about grass? Mandikar Shemayu. Who mentioned the name of grass that Rabbi Yehuda talked about grass? The Braita was written in short, and it should have been taught hachikton. It should have taught as follows: you sweep the floor of the Beit Knesset, and you water down the dust of the Beit Knesset. Kedei shelo yalu ben asavim, the grass shouldn't grow. And Rabbi Yehuda says, when do we sweep and water down the dust? That grass shouldn't grow when it's settled. But when it's in ruins, you leave the Beit Knesset, you leave the grass grow, and if grass grows, don't cut the grass. Mipnei agmat nefesh, people should feel bad and choose to rebuild the Beit Knesset. Rav Asi says the Beit Knesset in Bavel are made on condition. And I told you that Rashi and the Ramban say the condition helps even when the Beit Knesset is in use. Tosfot says the condition does not help when the Beit Knesset is in use. there's a discussion, does the condition have to be made verbally, or is it an assumed condition? But nevertheless, ein noagim behen, you're not allowed to act bekalid rosh, lightheaded. You can't do disrespectful things in a Beit Knesset. And one example is cheshbona, to do public accountings, because that's considered not a respectful thing to do in a Beit Knesset. So everybody should think about that. Rav Asi says that a Beit Knesset where you do public cheshbonot and calculations, then you should keep a corpse in it overnight. Melinim salgadata, would it enter your mind you must keep a corpse in it overnight? Is it not sufficient if you don't do that? But rather it means in the end, God forbid, they will keep a meit mitzvah, a corpse that doesn't have where it should be kept. So because you disrespected the Beit Knesset, you'll now be forced to use it for another thing which is very unpleasant. You don't adorn yourself in the Beit Knesset. Rava says Chachamim and their students are allowed, because Rabbi Shua ben Levi said, why is a Beit Midrash called Bei Rabbanan, at the Rabbanan's place? Because it's Beita the Rabbanan, it's the house of the Rabbanan. You don't enter in when it's sunny in order to get out of the sun, and you don't enter when it's raining to get out of the rain. As Ravina and Rav Ada Bar Matna were standing and asking a question from Rava. Ata Zilcha Demitra, a downpour of rain came, and they said, so they entered the Beit Knesset, and they said, this, the Eilina, that we entered the Beit Knesset, lav is not because to get out of the rain, but because learning, Shmaita, Boi needs Tziluta, a comfortable place, Kiyoma de Istana, like a day that the north wind blows. You need to learn in a pleasant environment. Rav Acha Breid Rava said to Rav Ashi, if a man needs to call Gavra, another person from the Beit Knesset, what do you do? So Rav Ashi answered, if he's a tzurva mirabanan, if he's a young scholar, he should say some halacha that he knows. He should learn something when he enters the Beit Knesset. If he's somebody who only knows Mishnayot or Braitot, let him say a Matnita, a Mishnah or Braita. If he knows how to read, let him at least say a pasuk of Tanakh. And if he can't do even that, Leima Lianuka, he should say to a child, tell me your pasuk. Or Inami Nishi Purta V'neikum, let him sit there a bit and then get up, or stay there a bit and then go out. You're allowed to make a public eulogy. Heichi Dami, what's the case of a public eulogy? Mechvir of Chisda showed a eulogy where Rav Sheshet would be present. Rav Sheshet showed a eulogy where Rav Chisda would be present. Rafram eulogized his daughter-in-law in the Beit Knesset and said, Mishum Yikara Didi, because of my honor and the honor of the woman who passed away, my daughter-in-law, everyone's going to come, and therefore I can do it in a Beit Knesset. Reb Zera eulogized a rabbi in a Beit Knesset, and he said, Imisham Yikara Didi, either because of my honor, or because Yikara Didei Demita, or because of the scholar, everyone will come. Okay, we have approximately 4 dapim left until the Siyam. I wish we'd be able to finish back in class. If not, we'll finish like this and we'll figure out perhaps how to celebrate. In any case, I hope everybody's able to learn. If you have any questions, don't forget to ask, and try to find chavruta to learn with. Learning b'chavruta even for 15-20 minutes a day to review the Gemara is a spark plug. It sparks your day and can energize your day, especially if the first day maybe it's a little bit hard. After the second or third day, you'll see it'll put a lot of life. The Torah can give you life. And you see how it connects to so many things. So now we'll go to a little bit of Haggada Shel Pesach. Yesterday we were up to Keneged Arba Banim Dibra Torah. The Torah speaks in 4 places that a father should teach his child about the Exodus. And as I translated the word echad, not one is, but whether a man has a chacham or a rasha or a tamasheni de elishol, whether his child is wise or wicked, simple or doesn't even know how to ask, a father has an obligation to teach his child. Now, it's a bit complex. Let me explain. The Torah, in 4 places, talks about teaching about Yetzias Mitzrayim. One time is in Parshat Va'et Chanan, and that's a pasuk for the Chacham, and 3 times it's in Parshat Bo, and there are psukim for the Rasha, for the Tam, the simple one, and the Sheni, the Elisha, the one who doesn't know how to ask. Let's take it on the road. Chacham Mahu Omer. What does a Chacham say? So if you look in Parshat Va'etchanan, it says, V'haya ki yisholcha bincha mochar lemor. When your child will ask you in the future, and now the Haggada says, Maha eidos v'achukim v'mishpatim. What are mitzvahs that are considered testimonials? What are mitzvahs that are called chukim, statutes? What are mitzvahs that are called mishpatim, judgments? Asher tziva Hashem Elokeinu etchem, that Hashem our God commanded you? That's what he's asking. Now, in the Torah, the answer that's given is, you should say to V'amarta levincha, you should say to your son, Avodim ayinu leparo b'Mitzrayim, and tell him the story of the Exodus. What it says in the Haggada is something totally different. And the Haggada says, Va'af ata, and you too, amorlo, say to him, Ke hilchot ha-Pesach, like the laws of Pesach, ein maftirin achar ha-Pesach, you can't finish after the Pesach, afikoman with dessert. Incomprehensible. Again, I'll read the answer. Va'af ata, and you, amorlo, say to him, Ke, like hilchot ha-Pesach, the laws of Pesach, ein maftirin, you cannot finish achar ha-Pesach, after the Korban Pesach, afikoman with dessert. What does that mean? What does it have to do with this question? Let me explain slowly. If a man has a child, a chacham, and the child asks his father, what are the edot, chukim, and mishpatim that Hashem, our God, commanded you? The father might think that I don't have to educate my child. Maybe he knows more than me. And maybe he learned in a school, he learned in a yeshiva. So I maybe never had a chance to learn in a yeshiva or a school. Maybe I don't know. So what obligation do I have to teach him? Do I have to teach my son the chacham? And the Torah says that even if you have a son a chacham and you're not, you still have to teach him. But what can I teach him if he knows so much? And the answer is, I'll give you an example. Let's say you have a professor who teaches medicine. He taught medicine in McGill for 20 years, but he never saw a patient. He never was in an operating room. On the other hand, you have a nurse who has been assisting a surgeon to do surgery for 20 years. She never graduated as a doctor, but she's been assisting in surgery for 20 years. I ask you a question. If, God forbid, there would be an emergency situation and somebody needs to do surgery and there's no surgeon there, who would one choose? Would you choose the professor or would you choose the nurse? I believe you would choose the nurse. Because the professor has learned books and he's learned in a classroom setting, but he's never actually seen it in action. The nurse has seen it in action, and therefore chances are that hopefully it shouldn't be too complicated or too complex where she has to make any new decisions, but how to do it, she's been there. She's been there, done that, or at least sat by when it was done. She could copy what she saw done quite well, certainly better than somebody that never saw anything but a book. There is a halacha that after you finish eating the Korban Pesach, you're not allowed to eat dessert. Why is that? So that the flavor of the Korban Pesach remains in your mouth. It's important that the flavor of the Pesach, the flavor of the mitzvah, should remain in your mouth. I'm just giving you pieces and then I'll put it all together. I have a question to ask. Let's say somebody would be learning Masechet Megillah, and he finishes Masechet Megillah a week before Pesach. I'm sorry, I said it wrong. What if somebody would be learning Masechet Pesachim, and he finishes Masechet Pesachim a week before Pesach? Would it be a problem if the last week before Pesach he decides to learn Masechet Bava Kama? Does he need to have the flavor of Masechet Pesachim with him for Pesach? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. The learning, the Gemara, all that learning is very good, it's intellectual, but